What's going on, guys? TJ here with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports to bring you tonight's 10-game NBA slate. We have 10 games, right? 3, 5, 8. Yep, we have 10. Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. Wasn't missing something. Hope everybody is having a fantastic Wednesday night. There is so much to break down on the slate. I'm obviously alone. Unfortunately, we had some bad news with Matt. He actually tested positive today for COVID-19. So Matt is dealing with that currently. So he's in bed. He had some PTO saved up, so I approved his off day tonight. But you know, the train keeps moving, guys. We got a lot to cover. Before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to Jock Market. It's a partnership that Matt and I finalized yesterday. We're super excited for the future and to provide you guys with some content with Jock Market moving forward. As much as I would love to sit here and talk to you guys about the app and what it is, because I'm by myself and I got a lot to do. I got to do the cheat sheet after the live stream, and I don't have Matt alongside to help me talk about what Jock Market really is and to kind of go over it for you guys. And kind of short on time here, we're gonna just go ahead and dive right into tonight's slate. But we're super excited about the partnership that we did just finalize with Jock Market, and hope everybody's excited too. It's the best of both worlds. It's stocks and DFS. So I just need to make sure I have this up here on my screen real quick before I dive in. Where are we? What's happening? Oh, perfect. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so no, thank you, man. I just saw that comment. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and go over the slate as a whole right now. We have two games tipping off at 7 o'clock. We have Indy and Milwaukee. With Indy, we're still pending Miles Turner. We obviously have LeVert and Warren out. With the Bucks, we don't have any significant injury news. Philly, Mike Scott still out. Charlotte, we just got word that Rozier is out, and obviously PJ Washington had been deemed out. So that shakes up some big things over there in Charlotte. So something we will touch base on against Philly. It is a tough matchup, but I mean they are very depleted with two of their starters that play 30+ minutes. Dallas, we have no injuries. Porzingis is back. Atlanta, we Bogdanovich done and DeAndre Hunter obviously out. So that does shake some things up there in Atlanta. We got the Knicks in Chicago. For some reason, I thought somebody said that Otto Porter is out. Okay, Otto Porter is out. I only ran numbers with Wendell Carter just out. So I will have to go back to Chicago and run numbers with Carter and Porter both out. So that's something that we're going to have to touch base on because I kind of do like that matchup. More of tournament plays there for me between the Knicks and the Bulls. We have the Clippers and we have the Cavs. We are pending Drummond, which is huge. We saw what Jared Allen did in Drummond's absence last game. Tough matchup against the Clippers, but if he's deemed out, I would love to go back to the well with Jared Allen. Looks like Bev is going to be good to go. So that nothing really significant there with the Clippers. I think that affects guys like Reggie Jackson if Bev is going to play, and it looks like he is. Washington and Miami, another game at 8 o'clock. We have Russell Westbrook and Raul Nato out, so that is huge. That's something we're going to touch base on. Miami getting healthier and healthier, all those guys coming back from COVID. We have Houston. No John Wall, another team that we need to talk about in this game as a whole because on the other side of the ball with OKC, we have no SGA and we have no George Hill. So that is huge. That's a game that we're going to want to target, and we're definitely going to get to that. Minnesota, we are pending Hernan Gomez and D'Lo. Cat and Culver are both out. Naz Reid looks to be good to go. So not really too much interest there in Minnesota. I have a lot more interest in the Spurs because we have LaMarcus Aldridge and Rudy Gay out. So another team that we are going to have to talk about there. And then the two late games, we got Phoenix and the Pelicans, and we have the Celtics and we have Sacramento. With Phoenix, Booker's going to be good to go. Looks like it's just Sarge and Cameron Payne out, so not too much interest there in Phoenix, especially with those price increases because a lot of that, the price increases have been there because Booker's been out, but Booker has, played last game. Looks like he's going to be good to go tonight against the Pelicans. So I like that game for tournaments. We got to keep an eye on Steven Adams there. If Steven Adams is out again, there will be some really good plays there for the Pelicans, some nice tournament plays, maybe some late night pivots. Will give you some leverage in some big tournaments, so I do like keeping an eye on that with Steven Adams. And then my beautiful Celtics, man. No Kemba, obviously, on the back-to-back last night against Golden State. He will sit. We have no Marcus Smart. We have no Pritchard. So this is going to be a team that I am going to love to target tonight. I think there's a lot of good cash plays there, being JB and Tatum, obviously. So I have some interest there in the Celtics. And then with Sacramento, Bielisa looks doubtful, so we will touch base there as well. So let's go ahead and jump to, I want to touch base on Charlotte. We'll go game by game. I'm going to try and bang this out as fast as I possibly can. Chips in the house. Yeah, you guys hear Chips? He's already barking. He's actually underneath my legs right now. So, guys, we're going to go game by game, and we'll kind of go from there. I'm going to talk about who the chalk is, where I think cash plays are, some good tournament plays, what have you, like Matt and I normally do. Matt normally loves to just bounce around and touch base on the chalk first. I'm just going to go game by game and kind of give you guys my thoughts. So when we're looking at Philly here against Charlotte, 7-point road favorites. I don't really have too much interest in Philly in terms of cash, but in tournaments, I love this matchup for Embiid going down low against guys like Zeller and Bismack Biyombo. So at 10K, showing less than 15% ownership, I really like Embiid here in terms of tournaments. If I'm going cash, I don't have any interest here, like I just said, against Philly. Only Mike Scott out, so I think there's a lot other value here on the slate, especially on the other side of the ball with Charlotte. So we got word that obviously P.J. Washington was out, Terry Rozier was questionable, and now Terry Rozier has been deemed out. LaMelo Ball will start. And it looked like last game when Terry Rozier was out, LaMelo Ball kind of gave his bench powers to Malik Monk, who played 40 minutes and just went absolutely bonkers. So when we're looking at Charlotte guys, all these guys look really good. I am a little bit scared of the over-under, but with that being said, we have two guys that are starters on this team in P.J. Washington and Terry Rozier that are out, and that's 60 combined plus minutes that need to be dispersed throughout this roster. So we're looking at a guy like Gordon Hayward with those two guys off the floor, gets a 1.2% usage bump. He's a 1.17 fantasy point per minute. I have him pegged for 45 DraftKings points. I like Gordon Hayward. We got LaMelo Ball in the starting lineup tonight, only projected for 33 minutes. Gets a little bit of a usage bump there, only a 1.12 fantasy point per minute. So when LaMelo's in the starting lineup, I actually like him a little less than when he's actually coming off the bench. I still think he's going to carry some ownership because he is starting. But I think I'd almost rather go to a guy like Devontae Graham tonight, or even I'll go all the way down to Monk coming off the bench. So Devontae Graham doesn't really get too much of a usage bump, but projected at 36 minutes right now at 6,600, 1.02 fantasy point per minute. Have him projected for 36.54 DraftKings points. So I like Graham as a tournament play. Cody Zeller at 5,800 gets a 3% usage bump. Obviously, with P.J. Washington off the floor is big for Zeller, more rebounds. He's projected at 34 minutes. And if he can stay out of foul trouble, I totally see him being able to hit that minute threshold. 3% usage bump, like I talked about, 1.03 fantasy points per minute. I have him pegged for 36 DraftKings points, so I love Zeller. I expect that ownership to pop up a little bit, especially with Rozier now being ruled out as well. We got Miles Bridges in the starting lineup, projected at 30 minutes, a 2.3% usage bump. He'll be starting for P.J. Washington at the 4. He is a 1.03 fantasy point per minute. I have him pegged for 31.6 DraftKings points, so I really like Miles Bridges tonight. Malik Monk coming off the bench, too, at 4K, projected at 29 minutes. We saw what he did last game coming off the bench. He actually played against Miami 40 minutes, played all that overtime game. He went for 50 DraftKings points, basically 50. He went for 48.75, so I'll call it 50. Absolute monster game. By no means do I expect him to duplicate that effort against Miami. But with that being said, at 4K, I would only expect Malik Monk, currently showing 4.4% ownership. As you can see, that's going to skyrocket. So I do like Malik Monk. I'm assuming he's going to become cash viable. I love him at 4K. I think he's cash viable even before I see that ownership being bumped up. Caleb Martin as well, 3K coming off the bench, projected at 22 minutes. Like, he's a 0.95 fantasy point per minute, guys, off the bench. So when you look at my sheet that you have in front of you, right? So gray means, they're decent, right? We got to take into consider the roto value. So if you can see this last column here, that is what I have projected for these guys for DraftKings points, okay? Look at all the green and, the yellow here from Devontae Graham. This means all these guys are way undervalued, especially now with the injuries with P.J. Washington and Terry Rozier. So I really love Charlotte. I'm going to keep an eye on them. I want to see what the ownership updates to. I would assume Zeller's ownership gets a little bit higher. Malik Monk, probably at 4K, will be one of the chalkier guys on the slate now, I would think. And I think LaMelo Ball and Devontae Graham's ownership does creep up a little bit there as well. So a lot of interest for me there in Charlotte. Let's keep moving on. We have Indiana here. We have the price tag with Sabonis at 8,300. I just don't really understand it. Coming off, $8,700 against Memphis and going for 61 DraftKings points. I understand that matchup against Memphis was a lot easier, than he'll see tonight against Milwaukee, especially with Joe Val off the floor. Not that Joe Val is a really good defensive presence, but it did just help Sabonis out that much more. But again, Sabonis at 8,300, guys. With the likes of Miles Turner potentially being out, I expect Miles Turner to play. We got LeVert and we have Warren, and obviously we have to take Oladipo off the floor as well. Sabonis gets a 1% usage bump. He's a 1.28 fantasy point per minute, a 25.6% usage rate, which is second highest on the team. only behind Malcolm Brogdon, so the point guard. I have him pegged for 47.8 DraftKings points. I don't like the matchup, but I love the over-under. If Indiana can stay competitive on the road against the Bucks, there's no reason that Sabonis can't pay off this $8,300 price tag. So I really like him. I also have some interest in Turner if he plays, but he'll be more of a tournament play. My interest in cash really lies with Sabonis. And again, I obviously love Brogdon as well at 8,100. If they're going to stay competitive against Milwaukee, 9-point road dogs, it's going to most likely come from guys like Sabonis and Brogdon. I'll have some interest too in Lamb, but more of a tournament play. So in terms of cash, Sabonis and Brogdon would be where I'm looking at. But more so Sabonis than Brogdon or Turner. Those would be more of tournament plays for me. Milwaukee, I don't have interest in cash. If you can get up to Giannis at 11K, sure, I don't hate it. We've seen him, last game against Portland where he was pretty chalky, only played 26 minutes because of a blowout. So I'm always a little hesitant there. But again, if this game can stay competitive, there's no reason that Giannis can't go for 60 DraftKings points against Indiana. So he's somebody I'll keep an eye on. I'll have some tournament exposure for sure. I don't think I'll get there in cash because I do have interest elsewhere, and that is certain. So we'll go ahead and keep the train moving, guys. We'll go to Dallas and Atlanta. Again, not too much interest here in terms of cash. I wouldn't hate a guy like Luka, 1.57 fantasy points per minute. Everybody for Dallas is healthy now. They're over COVID. So we have everybody back in the mix. I do like Luka at 10-8 going up against Atlanta. Maybe a little bad blood there with him and Trae Young, traded on draft night. Maybe I'm just making up narratives. But 1.57 fantasy point per minute with everybody healthy on the floor. That is Luka, 36.1% usage rate as you see, which is just absolutely crazy. I have him pegged for 55 DraftKings points. So I do like him, more of a tournament play again. I don't really have interest in him and Giannis in terms of cash just because I have interest elsewhere. I think there's a lot of good high 6K, 7K, low 8K plays. And I think that's kind of where my builds are falling currently. But if you can get up to a guy like Giannis or Luka tonight in cash, I really don't hate it. I think I would prefer Luka. I think it's going to be more of a competitive game against Atlanta, but that's not to say that I think Giannis is a bad play at all. Josh Richardson, obviously at 4K last game against Phoenix, went absolutely bananas. He should play 36 minutes if this game is competitive, so he'll be somebody that I'm interested in as well. Porzingis showing a little bit of ownership here. More of a tournament play, only 5% actually. For some reason, I thought that said 15%. I guess I'm going crazy. But yeah, tournament plays here with Porzingis and Richardson, and I would have some interest there in Luka in cash, but I just don't think I'll be able to get there. On the other side of the ball, we have Trae Young, who is somebody that continuously pops on the sheet with DeAndre Hunter and Bogdanović off the floor. With both those guys off the floor, Trae Young gets a 1.5% usage bump. He's a 1.64 fantasy point per minute and has been quietly hitting 6 times value. Over his last 7 games or something like that? Did it against the Lakers, against the Wizards, against Brooklyn. He was close against the Clippers, against Minnesota, against Detroit. So not really showing too high a ownership here. Again, probably going to be one of my favorite tournament plays. I talked about him being one of my favorite tournament plays against the Lakers. Same situation here against Dallas. I think he is undervalued with DeAndre Hunter and Bogdanović off the floor at 9,500. So I really like a guy like Trae Young. I'll have interest in Reddish, more of a tournament play there at 4,600, showing 6.6% ownership. I do like him. He gets a 2.3% usage bump. He's a 0.89 fantasy point per minute with DeAndre Hunter and obviously Bogdanović, who has been out for a little bit now. So mostly with DeAndre Hunter off the floor. So I do like Cam Reddish as a tournament play, showing 32 minutes in what should be a competitive game against Dallas. And then Capella down low at 8,800. 1% ownership. Love him for tournaments as well. Gets a 1% usage bump, 1.51 fantasy point per minute with DeAndre Hunter off the floor. So I do really like Capella too. More of a tournament play. And again, these guys are going to be tournament plays. If I'm going anywhere, it's going to be Trae Young, it's going to be Capella, and it is going to be Cam Reddish for me. Oh boy. Knicks in Chicago. I got to run the Chicago numbers again. I'm trying to see what else, if I'm missing any questions. Okay, you guys are being relatively quiet. You're letting me just ramble, and I love you guys for that. I'm just trying to get everything out there before. I'm probably going to have to get off around like 6:20 so I can get the Patreon sheet out to everybody in a timely fashion. So it looks like we have about 25, maybe 30 more minutes. So I'm going to keep rambling on. I'll tell you right now, in terms of this Knicks-Chicago game, I really don't have too much interest. I like Randall down low against the Chicago Bigs. especially with Wendell Carter being out. And, now we just got news that Otto Porter is out. So I like Julius Randle as a tournament play at 9,100. I don't really have too much interest elsewhere. I don't hate Emmanuel Quickly, but again, more of a tournament play. Alec Burks too as well, but again, tournament plays. I don't have any interest there in cash. Chicago, same deal. Even with the injuries, I don't really have too much interest here in cash. I like that LaVine price tag at 8,500. 1.2% usage bump with Wendell Carter and Porter. That's just with Wendell Carter off the floor, actually, guys. You know what? Let's go ahead and run the Chicago numbers right now so that we can give you guys a live update. So we got, oh, nope. We got Wendell Carter and we have Otto Porter off the floor. And let's see what we have here, you guys. I still think LaVine's going to be a really good tournament play. I think he's going to show pretty low ownership here. 1.029. We got Markkanen, who every single time I do mention absolutely burns me for some reason. And then when I don't play him, he's very well. Thad gets a little bit of a usage bump there. We have Otto Porter. You are off, my friend. You are out. Temple. We're going to update your minutes, Temple. Where are you? 1.005. We got Gafford here, 1.005. And we have Pat Williams gets a 2.9% usage bump. And let's see here. Now we have Zach LaVine, 1.37, 32% usage rate. So, yeah, I would have LaVine pegged at 51 DraftKings points. So I really do like him for tournaments tonight. And that is without his minute update. But I wouldn't assume he plays anything more than 38 minutes anyways. 0.91, 1.01, 14.6. We have Garrett Temple here, 0.8, 15.3. We have Gafford. Where are you, Gafford? 0.86, 14.3. And then we have Patrick Williams, 0.8, 19.7. So Patrick Williams, kind of a little interesting here, guys. Let's update these minutes real quick. We got LaVine, 33, 30. Okay, so they still have the Otto Porter minutes. Let's refresh and see if we got an update real quick. Bear with me, guys. All right, we do. So 36, we're going to delete that so that looks a little better. 38, 29, we have 24, we have 19, we have 27. Those didn't get updated, did they? Yeah, those aren't updated. Well, they gave more time to Valentine and Satoransky, actually. Okay, I'm going to put Patrick Williams at 28. So, guys, Patrick Williams at 3,600. Is he projected to start? He is projected to start at the 3 now. If Patrick Williams gets a start at the 3, honestly, at 3,600, I really don't hate him. That would probably be a guy that I wouldn't mind landing on in cash. Again, I really haven't had too much time to build. But yeah, 3,600, 2.9% usage bump with those two guys off the floor, 0.8 fantasy points per minute. So I would have him at 23 DraftKings points. So Patrick Williams, if he does start, would be a guy I wouldn't hate landing on. And LaVine will be my tournament play here from Chicago. Thad Young, I'll probably have some interest in too at 5,900. But again, nothing here for cash. So let's keep it moving, guys. We got the Clippers and we have Cleveland. I love Kawhi again in tournaments. Talked about him last night or 2 nights ago. Matt and I were very high on him as one of our favorite tournament plays in a competitive game. He played 40 minutes, went for 60 DraftKings points. So again, I'll have some interest here in a guy like Kawhi. A little bit of a different matchup here against Cleveland, and I am worried about a potential blowout, especially if Drummond is out again. That is yet to be unseen. So we'll have to monitor that news, but I will have some interest in a guy like Kawhi in tournaments. But elsewhere, I don't really have too much interest here in the Clippers. And on the other side of the ball with Cleveland, we are penning that Drummond news. We do have Nance and we do have Kevin Love out. So with just those two guys off the floor and leaving Drummond there, I do have some interest here in tournaments. Teron Prince is somebody that does interest me for tournaments specifically. He's a 0.97 fantasy point per minute, currently projected to start and get 31 minutes. So I do like Teron Prince. I have him pegged for 30 DraftKings points. So tournament play, if Drummond's good at 8,400, I'll have some interest there. If he's out, Jared Allen 100% comes in the picture at 6,500. We saw what he did last game when he did start against Minnesota. A little bit of an easier matchup going up against guys like Naz Reid and Ned Davis, but even still at 5,500, went for 10 times value at 58 DraftKings points. It was a lock for us last time when Drummond was out. If Drummond does sit again, I will have a lot of interest in Jarrett Allen. I would expect him to be close to a cash lock, and for his ownership to shoot up, currently showing 2% ownership. So we'll have to monitor that Drummond news. That is huge, but let's keep it moving. We got Washington and we have Miami. Now, guys, Bradley Beal, I want you to take a look at this. With Nato and Westbrook off the floor this year, Bradley Beal is projected at 38 minutes, obviously. He gets a 5.3% usage bump. He's a 1.81 fantasy point per minute, a 43% usage rate. That is absolutely absurd. I would have him as a 7.46 value, which is, honest to God, one of the highest on my sheet, and that's a guy that's $9,700. 72.4 DraftKings points is what I have him pegged for, which is just absolutely absurd. I don't know if he can actually get there because it's a very tough matchup against Miami, but he is carrying a little bit of ownership here. I think he's cash viable at 9,700. Could get clamped by Jimmy Butler, but I still like his offensive presence, especially on these lonely Wizards. They are 9-point favorites, so if you don't go there in cash, I completely understand because, again, 9-point road dogs, no Westbrook, Bradley Beal by himself with Hachimura, Bertans, Ish Smith, Mo Wagner, Garrison Matthews. Like, the roster is just not great. And you're going up against a team that made it to the finals last year in the Miami Heat. They're not playing as good as they were last year, but they've been dealing with COVID, what have you. So I really do like Bradley Beal. If his ownership's going to be low, he's probably going to be one of my favorite tournament plays because if this game can stay competitive, it's going to be because of Bradley Beal. Hachimura at 5,400, I have some interest in as well. I have him pegged for 31.75 DraftKings points. Ish Smith, if he does start at 4,800, I like him. But again, guys, these ownerships are a little bit lower. I think Ish Smith is cash viable at 4,800. Gets a 1% usage bump. He's a 1.02 fantasy point per minute. I have him pegged for 30.88 DraftKings points. So I do like him as a last piece in cash if you're landing there. He is on the sheet for our Patreon members. We have Denny Avdia. I tried to write in his name so that I could pronounce it correctly because I have been corrected so many times on stream. I keep pronouncing it Avdija, but it's Avdia. So Denny Avdia in a smaller sample size looks really good. 5.1% usage bump. He's going to be a tournament play for me. And then Garrison Matthews is showing some ownership at 3,300. 2.6% usage bump. 0.92 fantasy point per minute with Raul, Nato, and Westbrook off the floor. So I honestly think you can go to a guy like Garrison Matthews here at 3,300. I think he's cheap enough. I am scared of the matchup, obviously, again. But if this game is competitive, I'm going to love the Wizards in tournaments. I don't know if I'm going to have any of them in cash. I think I would feel most comfortable rostering a guy like Ish Smith because he is cheaper at 4,800 and he is going to carry some ownership. Beal getting up there at 9,700 does scare me. But again, if this game can stay competitive, I'll love Beal. Ish Smith, cash viable. I think Garrison Matthews is as well. Denny Avdia is going to be a tournament play for me, as will Roy Hachimura. Miami, no interest. That's it. I have no interest in them. My favorite play is going to be Jimmy Butler. He rates the best on the sheet. I have him pegged for 42.9 DraftKings points. So that would be my play. Again, I am worried that this game could blow out, but that's where I would go. Houston and OKC, this is the game that I do want to talk about. We have guys like Christian Wood and Oladipo and Eric Gordon that are carrying some ownership, and rightfully so because John Wall is off the floor tonight. Now, with John Wall off the floor, and obviously we have to take Harden too because Harden is gone. So since Oladipo has come here, Christian Wood is a 1.46 fantasy point per minute and a 27.5% usage rate. So I really like a guy like Christian Wood. More of a tournament play for me. I don't know if I'll get there in cash, but a guy like Oladipo I think is 100% cash viable, showing 19% ownership and at 7,800 projected at 35 minutes. He gets a 3.3% usage bump with Wall and Harden off the floor, but actually he technically only has Wall because he wasn't here when Harden was here. So with just Wall off the floor, he gets that 3.3% usage bump. He's a 1.38 fantasy point per minute, 34% usage rate, which is highest on the team. I have him pegged for almost 50 DraftKings points. So I really like Oladipo tonight, and I honestly think you can get away with Eric Gordon too, showing 14% ownership, 5,400 projected at 32 minutes now. 3.6% usage bump with both Harden and Wall off the floor. 1.1 fantasy point per minute. You know the guy's going to come in and shoot. 28.5% usage rate, second highest on the team behind just Oladipo. Love those top three studs for Houston to keep this competitive against OKC. That's without SGA and without George Hill. So I think this game should be competitive even without John Wall. Love all three of those guys. Honestly think you can get one of those guys in your cash lineup. I would prefer Oladipo and Eric Gordon if you're going there in cash, but I have interest in all three. And on the other side of the ball is where a lot of the ownership is coming from tonight, and rightfully so with guys like Diallo and Maladin. Now, I'm pretty sure they are both going to be starting in the backcourt. It looks like that is what we have projected with SGA and George Hill off the floor, and that makes sense to me. I would expect them to play the point and the two. So when we take off SGA and we take off George Hill, we have a lot of usage bumps for these OKC guys. Horford gets a 4.9% usage bump. He's a 1.11 fantasy point per minute. I have him pegged for 33.75 DraftKings points. So I really like Horford as a tournament play. I like Baisley for tournaments. Diallo's 100% a cash lock for me at 4,500, only projected at 26 minutes, but he gets a 3.8% usage bump. As long as he starts, which he should, I love him for cash. He will be a lock. 1.24 fantasy point per minute, 27.5% usage rate, 33.5 DraftKings points is what I have him pegged for. So I love Diallo. Okay, so I want you guys to tread lightly on these Dort numbers. Dort's going to be more of a tournament play for me. This is a very small sample size on Dort, so I meant to highlight him. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm just going to go ahead and do that so I don't forget. But yes, this is a small sample size for Dort. Everybody else, 100-plus minutes for the guys that I was hoping to see in Diallo, Maladin, and Justin Jackson. So then we get to Maladin at 4,300, who should start with Diallo, projected at 33 minutes, who has been starting in the absence of George Hill. 2.7% usage bump, only a 0.85 fantasy point per minute. Still have him pegged for 28.8 DraftKings points. Love him for cash. He's going to be a lock for me as well. And Justin Jackson at 3K, projected at 26 minutes now. I'm going to keep him at 24 to be safe. A little bit of a usage bump here, 1.05 fantasy point per minute off the bench. So I honestly don't hate Justin Jackson as a cheap play at 3K. Going to be really heavy on him in terms of tournaments. And if you do land there in cash, if you're trying to pay up for a stud like Giannis, or if you're trying to throw in guys like, Sabonis, Tatum, JB, if you want to get up to Bradley Beal, I think Justin Jackson offers some really good salary relief at 3K. So I do like him. So I have a lot of cash interest in Houston and OKC alone, more so on the OKC side, but I do have some interest in Houston as well. We still have 3 games to cover, guys. I'm going as fast as I can. I'm going to bang through these last ones. Starting with Minnesota, no interest. Simple as that. If D'Lo does play against the Spurs with no Aldridge and no Rudy Gay at 6,800, that is very cheap. That is where my interest would lie. I also don't hate Anthony Edwards at 5,400, but again, just tournament plays. Spurs. Okay, we got to talk about the Spurs because we have no Aldridge and we have no Rudy Gay. And I know I'm going to bring up this guy, and I know he's hurt a lot of us, and he's hurt me. And I feel like he continuously just wants to hurt us, guys. No, DeMar DeRozan at 6,900. Okay, I hate to mention the name because he legitimately had his floor game when we made him a cash lock the other night, and that was absolutely terrible. So we're back. I'm back on the DeRozan train, guys. I know. 6,900 projected at 35 minutes against a terrible Minnesota defense. We have 33 minutes now. 3.6% usage bump with Rudy Gay and Aldridge off the floor. 1.22 fantasy point per minute. 26.6% usage rate. Highest on the team. I love DeMar DeRozan. He's probably going to be a cash lock for me. I know you guys hate to hear that, but at 6,900 going up against Minnesota in this matchup, I can't fathom him not getting 40 DraftKings points. I just can't do it. Can't do it. So I'm going back to the well with DeRozan. I love DeJounte Murray as well. 2.6% usage bump, 1.15 fantasy point per minute. Second highest usage on the team at 25.5%. So I like him. More of a tournament play there for me. And then Keldon Johnson, again, huge usage bump, 3.2%, 1.22 fantasy point per minute, which I was actually surprised by. And third highest usage on the team at 24%. So my interest lies between DeMar DeRozan, DeJounte Murray, and Keldon Johnson. Getting a lot of Jakob Poeltl questions. If Jakob Poeltl starts, which he should, obviously, we do have Trey Lyles. And we saw Pop actually, I think it was the last time Aldridge was out, or the last 2 times Aldridge was out. Everybody was on Jakob Poeltl, and then Trey Lyles actually got the start. So if Trey Lyles gets the start at 3K, I'd probably be off of a guy like Jakob Poeltl. I like him for tournaments. I don't think I'm going to go there in cash. It's not an easy matchup, but it's a very good matchup for him with no Cat going up against Naz Reid and Ed Davis. So I do like the matchup. I like Jakob Poeltl for tournaments. I don't know if I'll get there for cash. He doesn't really pop on the sheet, and even if we put him at 26 minutes, he doesn't get a usage bump. It's only a 0.93 fantasy point per minute. If he starts, I can see you going there for cash. I wouldn't hate it. I just don't know if I'm going to do it. So if you roster him, I wish you the best. I think he can get you value for sure if he stays out of foul trouble. But I would just be weary here because we have seen with Aldridge being out, Trey Lyles getting sneaky starts. So just keep that in mind. Let's keep it moving. Phoenix and Pelicans, I don't have any cash interest here. It's going to be strictly tournament plays. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip past that, honestly. I accidentally what did I do? Oh, I hit the select button, so I got rid of everything. So let's move on to this last game with Boston and Sacramento, where, again, I have a lot of interest as well, guys. We have no Kemba, obviously, on the back-to-back going up against Golden State last night, so he will sit tonight against Sacramento. We have no Marcus Smart. We have no Peyton Pritchard. So the offense lies with Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Carrying ownership, I love both of them. I think I prefer JB over Tatum just because there's so many guys that I want to try and roster tonight, and Jaylen offers a $1,000 salary saver. But even still, Tatum, 2.4% usage bump with those guys off the floor. 1.53 fantasy point per minute, 33.2% usage bump. I have him pegged for basically 58 DraftKings points. And then we have JB at 7,900, projected at 36 minutes, 2.1% usage bump, 1.36 fantasy point per minute, 33% usage rate, and I have him pegged for 49.99. So, guys, $50 bucks. $50 is how many points JB is going to get us tonight. I love both those guys in cash. Be wary of the Tristan Thompson. He's a tournament play for me tonight. I might be overexposed to him in tournaments because I like the matchup against Sacramento. This was a little bit of a smaller sample size. So, again, be wary here on that green number. But I do like TT in this matchup at 3,700. I'll have some interest in Tice as well. But if I'm looking anywhere in cash, it's going to be JB and Tatum. I know we're going to get questions on Teague. I don't trust him at 4,700. I'll have interest there in tournaments. I know we'll get questions on Grant Williams and Javonte Green too. Robert Williams. I think Robert Williams is in a decent spot if he can get the minutes, but I'm just a little weary of that. So Tatum and Brown for cash. I'm not going to go to any of these cheap Celtics in terms of cash because I don't trust the minutes. I don't trust the production. I think it's going to rely heavily on the back of Tatum and JB. So yes, I think both of those guys are cash viable if you land there. Love them both tonight. And last but not least, we have Sacramento with Bielitsa, who is projected to sit. I love Fox at 8,500. Probably going to be one of my favorite tournament plays. Buddy Hield, a shooter that can get hot, but no Marcus Smart to cover him or a guy like Kemba. So I'm not sure who he's going to match up against. Maybe Jeff Teague. He could be able to take advantage of that matchup. But Halliburton's probably my play at 5,400, a guy that's seeing 30 minutes night in and night out now. Rates the best on our sheet. 0.96 fantasy point per minute with Bielitsa off the floor. I have him pegged for 30 DraftKings points. So if you land there, don't hate it. But again, more tournament plays here for me. I have way more cash interest in the Celtics. Okay. Deep breath. All right. So now I'm going to go over, I'm going to refresh here. I'm going to make sure I'm not missing anything. That was a lot to cover. There's 244 of you in here. I didn't even check that. You guys are, I wish I could swear and say the F word. You guys are absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for sitting here and legitimately just listening to me babble on about basketball. I love you guys. I love doing this so much. I wish Matt was here because it's a lot easier when my sidekick is with me, but that is okay. The show goes on. So, guys, in terms of ownership right now, okay, we talked about the Malik Monk, obviously, his ownership popping up. So, am I that smart? No, it was obvious. We see Maladin and we see Diallo showing the two highest owned guys right now, both starting for OKC, at the 1 and 2 tonight with SGA and with George Hill out. I love both of them for cash. I told you, Malik Monk now at 4K coming off the bench with the LaMelo Ball powers becomes a cash play. JB, Sabonis, and Tatum, we talked about them. There's DeMar DeRozan. Do we want to do it again? Because I do. I want to dance. I want to dance with DeRozan. Justin Jackson carrying ownership. Ish Smith. We got Jakob Poeltl, so I said I'm not going to go there, but he is showing some ownership. We got Cody Zeller up there. Oladipo, a guy I said was cash viable at 7,800. We've seen LaMelo Ball's ownership come up a little bit. I am going to cross-reference this right now to Fantasy Cruncher. I have all my numbers in Fantasy Cruncher up here that I did while I was at work. And while I'm actually at work, I'm actually just doing DFS all day. Same situation. We have Diallo and Maladin at the very top, showing the highest ownership. We got a guy like JB and Sabonis. Again, very cheap for their price tags with the injuries that they do have on their teams and the matchups. I love both of them for cash. Baisley actually up there. LaMelo Ball. We got Tatum. We got DeRozan, guys. Are we going to do it with DeRozan? Because I think we're going to have to dance with DeRozan. I think we're going to dance. I think I'm going to take DeMar. Jakob Poeltl. So maybe I'm wrong with Jakob Poeltl being a cash option. A lot of people are playing him. The ownership's looking like it's going to be 20%. Justin Jackson is the guy that I talked about as a fantastic punt play at 3K, so I do think he is cash viable. It really allows you to get up for guys like Tatum, DeRozan, Sabonis, Jaylen Brown. Those are probably going to be my favorite pieces to build around in cash. Or maybe you want to go up and get a guy like Bradley Beal, who I also love tonight. So that's what we're looking at right now, guys, in terms of cash and ownership. As you can see right in front of you, all these guys showing high value, and I want to show you my favorite values right now. I got Bradley Beal, honestly, as my favorite value. He's going to be my favorite tournament play. I'm very scared of the matchup against Miami, but if they stay competitive, I love him. Garrison Matthews is another guy that's carrying not as high ownership, so more of a tournament play. Tristan Thompson, please tread lightly, tournament only. Avdia, same thing, tournament only. Eric Gordon, I think you can go to in cash. Theo Maledon, like we talked about, in Diallo. So I think there's so many good options tonight, guys, that I honestly prefer tournaments. That's kind of where I'm going to go. I obviously run a one line each night. Last night I preferred tournaments too. I played more tournaments than I did cash. I think I'm going to do the same thing tonight because there's so many good plays that I kind of want exposure to everybody, and I kind of want to be overweight on some guys that aren't carrying a lot of ownership. So Turner is in. Thank you, guys. Love that. As soon as I say there's 244, and I love you all, we lose 15 people. So you guys are mean. So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump into some questions now. So that's the slate as a whole. I think Maledon's a lock. I think Diallo's a lock. And honestly, I think you can go Malik Monk. I think you're going to need one of JB and Tatum. I would rather go to JB, but honestly, if I have both in my lineup, I feel confident in that. I really like Sabonis. I like DeRozan. And Justin Jackson's a guy at 3K that we talked about. We talked about Ish Smith being a good filler at 4,800. We talked about Oladipo being a good play at 7,800 with no John Wall. LaMelo Ball now starting at 7K. I don't know if I'll get there in cash, but I still have some interest there. I talked about my love for Bradley Beal, Keldon Johnson, DeJounte Murray, Eric Gordon, Giannis, if you can get up and get him. I think you can tonight, but I don't think I'm going to do it because I have so much interest there in the 7K and 8K range. These four guys, especially for cash. I talked about Garrison Matthews as a filler. I like him at 3,300. Talked about Christian Wood at 8,600. Darius Baisley I don't hate. Caleb Martin's going to get some time off the bench here at 3K. I would so much rather go to a guy like Justin Jackson at 3K. But maybe a pivot in a tournament play off of a guy like Justin Jackson. We talked about Joel Embiid as a tournament play at 10K. I think he can easily smash here against Charlotte. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts, guys. I'll give my core at the end. I'm going to go through and try and answer all these questions. Grant says, Dad's here. Hi, Grant. Hi, Dad. Hudson said, Devonta Graham, great GPP play. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Justin. Hudson, excuse me. I don't know why I said Justin. Horford looking for a great GPP play tonight. Yep, Smitty, I agree with you there. He rates out really well on the sheet. I feel like I need 37 guys in my lineup tonight. Yeah, Nick, I 100% agree with you. That is why I have more interest in tournaments tonight than kind of just playing one line because I feel like I'm going to miss out on everything if I'm doing that. Is Jakob Poeltl a cash lock for center? I think you can go there. I don't know if I'm going to. Again, the center position tonight is tough, so I might throw Sabonis there. If you do go to Jakob Poeltl, I do like it. I also have a lot of interest in Zeller. I don't like the matchup against Embiid, but I think he's going to play a lot of minutes if he can stay out of foul trouble. So if you are going to Jakob Poeltl, that's fine. I do get worried that we haven't gotten a starting lineup here from the Spurs, and we know Pop, guys. Trey Lyles is starting. We could see that. But yeah, I think Jakob Poeltl is cash viable. Again, I might just throw Sabonis in there at the center position. But we will wait and see. If you do land on Jakob Poeltl, I do think he is cash viable and he is okay. Let's see. We are going to be flying through these 10 games today. So, yeah, Smitty, that took a while. So, guys, thank you for bearing with me. Jakob Poeltl burned me too many times. Yep, that is for sure. Hi, everybody. McDermott, sneaky tournament play. Don't hate it, but I don't know if I'm going to get there. Get better, Matt. Yeah, guys, send your prayers and thoughts to Matt. I like TJ now for cash with Matt rolls out. Yeah, Smitty. I'm a cash lock, 100% with no Matt. Yeah, he'll be fine. Matt's a tough kid. Let's see. Yeah, my usage rate is through the roof with no Matt. Yeah, all right, I got to get some questions. Let's see here. I got to get some more questions. Where are the questions, guys? Hit me with some questions. So for cash, we got a lineup here from Mark, Oladipo, Monk, Diallo, Sabonis, Zeller, Lonnie Walker, Gordon Hayward, Christian Wood, or, oh man, you're going to go throw two at me. Trey, Monk, Diallo, Sabonis, Zeller, Dort, Tatum, Jakob Poeltl. Second one. I prefer the second one, 100%. Bradley Beal, though. Yep, Bill, I agree with you there. What else do we have? Kev, love you, buddy. Thank you, man. Because Matt isn't here, I love that. I'm trying to see the questions, guys. FanDuel has Beal over 30 points at minus 290. Yeah, I could agree with that. I like Sabonis with those two guys out. Yep. But I'm going Brown. Okay. I like that, Nate. Yeah, I missed a hole. Still reserved like a degen. DJ, that's the way it is, baby. You gotta reserve. I like Trey and Luka. Yeah, man. I think they're in a good spot together. I think they're going to battle tonight. How do you know if a player is bad chalk cash GPP? I mean, man, I trust my sheet. I trust the numbers that I run night in and night out. I trust the values that I input into Roto, into Fantasy Cruncher, and It's tough to gauge, but you got to kind of base it off of injuries and who's out and who performs the best when those guys are off the floor. And you can only trust the numbers that you run. Not everybody's going to perform when they're in a good spot. So, some nights we do have bad chalk, like last night with Eric Pascal. He was absolutely terrible. He was the worst chalk that I've seen in a while since DeMar DeRozan, who was bad chalk the other night. So it does happen. If you can avoid it, it's good. Grant Williams, Hudson, I don't have interest tonight. If you're going to do that, go for tournaments. For cash, Mark, I already answered you, so I'm going to try and get to somebody else here. If you're my boss, you can fire me. That's fine. I don't know what I'll do. I'll just do this. It's fine. Drummond news. Drummond will play. All right, guys, thank you for that. Throw some questions in the Discord. Yeah, guys, if you want to throw... you know what, Sano? I didn't even answer the Discord questions. Updating Patreon. Yes, Tyler, I'm going to update Patreon. Bear with me, man. I'm going to get off here very shortly. What happened to Matt? Matt tested positive for COVID today. He will be off for a little bit here. I'm going to be holding down the fort. We got a cash lineup here from Shane. Maladin, Diallo, Brown, DeRozan, Sabonis, Ish Smith, Tatum, Dort. I like him, man. I'm a little weary on Dort, but I like him as the last piece. I think he is viable. No love for Jimmy Buckets. I said he was my favorite play from Miami. He is 100% my favorite play from Miami. Hudson's got a lineup. We got Maladin, Monk, Jaylen Brown, DeRozan, Sabonis, Oladipo, Diallo, and Zeller. I like it. What about Jared? Okay, so Drummond is in, so we don't have Oladipo or JB. I go JB and Cash, but I really do like both those guys tonight. Don't play Allen. Yes, don't play Allen with Drummond. Cash, Gordon or Halliburton. I go Eric Gordon. T. Prince or Baisley. I probably go Baisley there. My sheet says Prince, but my heart says Baisley, especially with SGA and George Hill being off the floor. Yes, Morph. I'm going to go answer the what's it called? TJ, what you thinking? Jock market buys low tonight. Hi, Matt. All right, guys. Yeah, you know what I am going to do? I am going to hop off. I'm sorry. There aren't too many questions in YouTube, so I am going to go tend to our Patreon members. I got to update the cheat sheet. I got to make sure I answer everybody's questions. So for all of you in here, 265 of you, thank you guys so much for listening to me legitimately ramble for, 45 minutes. You guys are absolutely incredible. Hopefully Matt gets better soon, so he is here with me. And guys, for those of you who are not Patreon members, the link is below. Patreon, $20 a month gets you access to all of our cheat sheets. It gets you an invite to our Discord channel where it's legitimately talking Draftkings all day, covering NBA, League of Legends right now. We have MMA with Kevin, who's absolutely crushes every single MMA slate. Matt's got CSGO. I think Call of Duty starts up soon. We got MLB on the horizon, NASCAR, whatever it is, we're playing it. $20 gets you access to every single cheat sheet, and it also gets you the invite to the Discord. Link is below. I love you guys. I'm signing off. I wish everybody good luck tonight. Oh, cash locks. Maladin, Diallo, Monk, and Jaylen Brown. It's simple as that. Those are the guys carrying ownership. Those are the guys I would go with. Sabonis, Tatum. The ownership's right there. Those are the guys that pop on the sheet. Those are the guys you want in your cash lineups. If you want to get different and fade those guys in tournaments, who knows what you're going to win. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And let's cash. End scene. Where's the end scene? End scene. Perfect. Got it.